Tomorrow, Yitzhak Gilbert will be called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah, chanting from Parashat Vayera. It is awesome to have Vayera read by a student named Yitzhak, because it is from this Torah portion that we derive that name, Yitzhak. In our text, 3 messengers appear to Abraham and Sarah, who are well beyond the normal age to become new parents. And yet, the messengers say that Sarah will indeed conceive a son. Sarah, seeing the prophecy as rather absurd given their age, laughs. And because of her reaction, the child will be named Yitzhak, meaning laughter. It's kind of a silly name, laughter. You wouldn't name a kid Chuckles. That's a name for a clown, not a person. But there's something wonderful about this name, Yitzhak. It's joyful, it's genuine, it's hopeful. Last week, Israelis and people around the world observed the yahrzeit of Yitzhak Rabin. Rabin, the 5th prime minister of Israel, represented a hope for peace that is unparalleled to this day. He first took office in 1974, succeeding Golda Meir. In his first term, he signed the Sinai II agreement with Egypt and ordered the raid on Entebbe, carefully keeping the delicate balance of the hawk and the dove. He resigned the office in 1977, though he stayed in government, serving as defense minister for much of the 80s, including during the first Intifada. He was re-elected as prime minister in 1992, having campaigned on a platform of pursuing peace with the Palestinians. He signed the Oslo Accords and a peace treaty with Jordan. We could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Peace in our time. But not everybody was hoping for peace, or at least not on these terms or with these people. A Jewish extremist named Yigal Amir shot and killed Rabin at a peace rally in Tel Aviv on November 4th, 1995, 28 years ago tomorrow. Looking back to our text, there is so much that happens in Parashat Vayera after Isaac's birth. But the piece I want to talk about tonight is God's command to Abraham to sacrifice his son. We last read this text on Rosh Hashanah morning. Take your son, your special one, whom you love. Kach na et bincha, et yechidcha, asher ahavta. This is the first time in Torah we read the word ahav, love. Love, according to our tradition, is first and foremost neither sexual nor romantic, but rather the love that a parent feels for their child. No love comes before this one. And that is precisely why it is so difficult to read these words, to read this story of our patriarch, our father Abraham, sacrificing his love. It is viscerally painful, even for those of us without children, to imagine giving up our child for some intangible entity beyond ourselves. And yet, it is a call with which Israeli parents are painfully familiar, letting go of their child, saying goodbye as their 18-year-old joins the Israel Defense Forces for their compulsory service. I am not the first person to draw this parallel. In her second songbook, published in 1975, the prolific Israeli composer Naomi Shemer gave us her own retelling of Akeidat Yitzhak. Naomi Shemer was born in Kibbutzat Kinneret, a kibbutz her parents had helped found on the banks of the Sea of Galilee, on July 13th, 1930. Those of you doing the math may note she turned 18 just 2 months after Israel's Declaration of Independence was signed on May 15th, 1948. Her entire life and the music that accompanied it mirrors the story of Israel itself, with all its trials and triumphs, its joy and its sorrow. Shemer was a song leader from her childhood on the kibbutz, through her education at the Academy of Music in Jerusalem, into her military service with the Nachal Band, and truly for the rest of her life. After her death in 2004, Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon said, using marvelous melodies and lyrics, she succeeded in connecting us to our roots, to our origins, to the beginnings of Zionism. Shemer's songs include Al Kol Ele, Lu Yehi, Od Lo Ahavti Dai, and many, many others. Her catalog consists of hundreds of works ranging from ballads to sing-along style folk tunes to children's music. Her best-known song is Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, written in 1967 in honor of the liberation and reunification of Jerusalem following the Six-Day War. The song is so beloved, so ingrained in the Israeli consciousness, it was even pitched to replace Hatikva as the state's national anthem. After all, argued some members of the Knesset, Hatikva speaks of the hope for our state. Liot am chofshi be'artzenu, Eretz Tzion v'Yerushalayim, to be a free people in our own land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. The hope has been achieved, they said. We have Zion, we have Jerusalem. It's no longer hope, it's reality. So do we really still need Hatikva? Do we still need hope? In my own lifetime, Israel has not faced an existential crisis in the way it constantly and consistently did in its earlier history. Masada will not fall again is no longer a question or a rallying cry, but a statement of fact. Israel is not going anywhere. And yet, as the violence continues and crescendos as it did 4 weeks ago on Simchat Torah, we know there is still much to hope for. We still hope for peace, for security, and, of course, for the safe return of the 240 hostages still held in Gaza. Hope is not a wish on a star spoken passively into the night. The prophet Zechariah calls us Asirei Hatikva, captives of hope. Even the word itself, tikva, implies something greater, referring to a cord or a thread in the book of Joshua. Hope can bind us up and tie us together. The binding of Isaac is not only about the horror of the sacrifice, but the string we may tie on our finger, the ribbon on a tree that calls on us to remember hope. Shemer's Akeidat Yitzhak begins almost quoting the Torah verbatim. Take your son, your special one whom you love. Take Isaac and offer him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains in the place that I will tell you. Sacrifice him there on one of the mountains in the land of Moriah. She continues, taking the words spoken by Isaac and repurposing them to be a great cry that arises in the land, reminiscent of the great cry that arose in Egypt upon the plague of the death of the firstborn. In Vayera, Isaac questions Abraham. Here is the flintstone and here is the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Instead, in Shemer's retelling, A great cry rises up from all the surrounding mountains. Here is the flint stone, and here is the wood, and behold, here is the lamb for the burnt offering. The cry pleads with God, Ribono shel olam, master of the universe, Hamalei rachamim, the one who is full of mercy. Do not set your hand upon the boy. Here she takes from the angel's call to Abraham, staying his arm, Al hana'ar yadcha al tishlach. Do not set your hand upon the boy. Beginning 4 weeks ago and continuing today, this cry rings throughout Israel and the Jewish world. God, who works wonders, who redeems with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, let my child, my parent, my neighbor, my countrymen, my people, let them be okay. Shemer concludes, even if we live and grow old, we will not forget that the knife was raised. We will not forget your son, your special one, whom we loved. We will not forget Isaac. And so in honor of Yitzhak, our ancestor, and in memory of Yitzhak Rabin, who symbolized and continues to inspire hope and in prayer for the hostages, their families, and our soldiers, I offer this song, Naomi Shemer's Akeidat Yitzhak. קח את בנך, את יחידך, אשר אהבת, קח את יצחק, והעלהו לעולה על אחד ההרים, במקום אשר אומר לך, והעלהו לעולה על אחד ההרים בארץ מוריה, ומכל ההרים שבארץ הזאת תעלה צעקה גדולה. הנה האש והנה העצים, והנה הוא הסלע. ריבונו של עולם, המלא רחמים, אל הנער ידך אל תשלח. אל הנער ידך אל תשלח. גם אם שבע נחיה ונזקין, לא נשכח כי הונח הסכין. לא נשכח את בנך, את יחידך, אשר אהבנו. לא נשכח את יצחק.